Very good evening, everybody. Meeting in the session of Materia Medica. And today I will going to share something different, something which is related with Boericke's Materia Medica. And it is one of the important book which is very useful in our day-to-day homeopathic practice. I will going to share how to learn, how to understand the Boericke's Materia Medica and how to apply the clinical Materia Medica. The pathological aspect which Boericke has mentioned has a very importance in our practice, with which it is easy to reach to the remedy, to understand the depth of the remedy, to understand exact action of the remedy, where exactly you can think about such a remedy. This will be a just a thinking how one should go ahead while learning the Boericke's Materia Medica. And that's why I asked many people to join today's session. It will be a better for you to go through the other remedies in the similar manner. And how I used to learn Boericke and how I have learned it while learning the every remedy from the Boericke's Materia Medica. So we'll start directly. Today I will not going to share any case. I will share the experience while explaining this first paragraph of the Boericke's Materia Medica of the phosphorus. So open your Boericke's Materia Medica and open the phosphorus. It is an element. So this element has a lot of significance. We have learned phosphorus with different aspects. Phosphorus from soul, phosphorus from mental aspect, phosphorus from Allen's keynotes with its all keynotes, key symptoms, characteristic symptoms. But the depth which Boericke has mentioned is nowhere else. So my suggestion is that learn every word from the Boericke's Materia Medica, learn it by heart, understand exact meaning of it, then you will understand the depth of it. So we'll start with the remedy. Phosphorus irritates, inflames and degenerates mucous membranes. First sentence, very important. Phosphorus irritates, it stimulates. It stimulates basically the mucous membrane, then it inflames, and then it degenerates. See how it is going on. It is going on in the direction with which the whole inflammatory process happens. First, there is an irritation, followed by inflammation, followed by degeneration, specifically of mucous membrane, and not only of mucous membranes, but along with that, along with mucous membranes, it is the inflammation, irritation and inflammation of the serous membranes also. See, both the things are very important. Inflammation of the mucous membrane as well as serous membrane. So where is the mucous membrane? Whole inner lining is made up of mucous membrane. Right from the nose, right from the mouth to the rectum, everywhere you find it out, the mucous membrane. In the urinary tract, the mucous membrane is lying. So see how much depth the phosphorus is having, where exactly it is working. And not only that, the serous membranes. Where is the serous tissue? Serous tissue is located in the joints. Serous tissue is inside the joint, around the joint. Serous tissue is also there inside your nose. And what it do? The serous membrane always secretes it. Whenever it inflames, it produces a effusion. It produces a secretion. See, it irritates and inflames serous membranes, inflames spinal cord and nerves. It inflames the spinal cord as well as spinal nerves. So see the action, spinal cord, then spinal nerves, causing paralysis. First important entity, very important remedy for spinal sclerosis. nerve degeneration, spinal nerve degeneration, the brain degeneration. It is one of the important remedy specifically in multiple sclerosis. The paralysis which happens because of the degeneration of it. Causing paralysis destroys the bone. See the action. Action is more syphilitic, starting from inflammation, leading towards the degeneration. So, starting with the psoric miasm, ending with the syphilitic, the tubercular diathesis, pseudosyphilitic. So, it has active action or active presentation of the psora and the degeneration of the syphilis, the destruction of syphilis. So there is destruction of bone, there is the destruction of nerves, there is the destruction of nervous tissue. Causing paralysis destroys bone. It is one of the important remedy for osteomyelitis. Very important remedy. Where there is a destruction of bone happens, the necrosis of bone happens, and it starts producing a very clearly a discharge from it. So destruction of bone, especially the lower jaw and tibia. See where it is? It is in the lower jaw, and specifically it is there in the tibia. See, the first sentence not yet finished. We understand the depth of the remedy. It is going in that specific direction. Destroys bone, especially the lower jaw and tibia, disorganizes the blood. So, not only the mucous membrane, not only the serous membrane, not only the bones, but also affecting the blood and disorganizing the blood. Very, very important remedy in disorganization of blood, where you can get the disintegration of blood, the hemolysis. This is one of the important remedy for hemolytic anemia. It is one of the important remedy for polycythemia vera. See, the action on blood is very marked. So, disorganizes the blood, causing fatty degeneration and of the blood vessels. So, fatty degeneration. This word, many people doesn't exactly understand what is fatty degeneration. Fatty degeneration is nothing but accumulation of fat, which is normally, which is in between intercellular spaces, the fat happens to be there. When this fat enters inside the cell, it starts occupying the inner side or inner internal volume of the cell, starting causing damage of the cell, and because of which the cell degenerates. So it is because of fatty deposition inside the cell causing a damage is called as a fatty degeneration. Commonly it happens in liver, it happens in heart, it happens in blood vessels. So this is one of the important remedy where it produces the fatty degeneration, even in liver, even in heart, even in blood vessels. This is one of the important remedy which has that tendency. Causing fatty degeneration of blood vessels and every tissue. See, every tissue and organs of body, and thus gives rise to hemorrhage.
Degeneration of blood vessels and every tissue.
Thus gives rise to degeneration, hemorrhages, and hematogenous jaundice. So bleeding, disorganization of blood, clotting factors gets affected, and there is a bleeding. Disorganization of blood causing destruction of blood vessels, blood cells, RBCs, the hemolysis, and because of which hemolytic jaundice. See, the first paragraph of the Boericke's Materia Medica defines the action of this specific remedy. This remedy has that depth where such pathologies are hidden. If you have the pathologies related with mucous membranes, where there is irritation, inflammation, degeneration, when it is related with serous membrane, where there is again irritation, inflammation and causing degeneration, whenever there is bony pathologies where degeneration is there, wherever there is fatty degeneration, wherever there is a disorganization of blood, then this remedy plays a wonder. And pathology which happens to be there is hemorrhages. Pathology which happens to be there is destruction of RBC causing the hemolytic jaundice. So first paragraph defines the depth of phosphorus. Then second paragraph which explains again more than that. It produces picture of destructive metabolism. Underline destructive metabolism. Metabolic process gets destructed. Syphilitic miasm, marked syphilis, causes alloatrophy of the liver and subacute hepatitis. Atrophy of the liver, destruction of cells, and producing the jaundice. It is one of the important remedy for the liver cirrhosis. One of the important remedy, leading remedy. This is one of the important remedy whenever the blood cancer is there. So acute hepatitis, subacute hepatitis, this is wonderful remedy. It has direct action on the liver cells. Now he explains the constitution which everyone knows. The patient is tall, the patient is slender, the persons, they are narrow chested with thin transparent skin, weakened by loss of animal fluids with great nervous debility, emaciation, amative tendencies, and seems to be under the special influence of phosphorus. See, where he tried to explain exactly how the person's common constitution is there. These are tall, slender, weak, emaciated. This is typical tubercular constitution. But one word is very important, narrow chestedness. Narrow chestedness means their chest span, that is the thoracic span, is so big and abdominal span is so small. The abdomen enters the thorax, and that's why person feels like he's a barrel shaped. There is a big thoracic span and abdomen is very short. That is narrow chestedness. Very typical tubercular constitution. The phosphorus is having that. With thin transparent skin, very delicate skin. Very delicate. Phosphorus skin is a delicate skin. If you just touch it, you will feel that might break. It is so delicate, so nice, so transparent. Generally, these are people who are fair with these thin, moist skin, very important, transparent skin, weakened by loss of animal fluids. What is animal fluid? Animal fluid means blood, means if there is vomiting, if there is a diarrhea, if there is a lot of seminal discharge, that is also one of the loss of animal fluids, and which is there more with the phosphorus, because phosphorus, they are amative, that word comes over there. They are sexual minded. That amativeness is there. They are erotic. So emaciation, amative tendencies seems to be under the special influence of phosphorus. Great susceptibility. There is one word which is remaining, with great nervous debility. What is nervous debility? Nervous debility means nervous system's debility. The nerves gets exhausted. It is the exhaustion of the nerves. The progressive paralysis is the characteristic of this remedy. Progressive paralysis because of exhaustion of the nerves. That's why it is one of the important remedy which is mentioned only by Nair in Duchenne muscular dystrophy. If you open the Nair's repertory, you will get the features related with this remedy, a single remedy for Duchenne muscular dystrophy and pseudo hypertrophy. Only Nair has taken it into consideration in his repertory. No repertory includes that. But this is on the basis of his knowledge about the pathology. Once you study the pathology properly, then you understand the remedy properly. This remedy has that specific thing, the nervous debility and emaciation. The body becomes day by day emaciated. Amative tendencies. Amative tendencies, just now I have mentioned, they are thinking in such a manner. Great susceptibility to external impressions. Great susceptibility to all varieties of external impressions. He has mentioned about it that it is related with light. So light also affects the phosphorus person. The sound, they are very sensitive to noise. They are very sensitive to the odors, very easily catches the odors. Touch, their skin is so delicate and very sensitive. Touch. Electrical changes, the lightning, they are very much affected because of lightning during rainy season. They are very much affected because of thunderstorm. So since sensitive to all external impression, if you get a rubric in your repertory, sensitive to external impression, you will get phosphorus for more marks. The sensitivity lies to each and every external change, and these persons are very sensitive, reflects their changes. Suddenness of symptoms. The sudden prostration, the sudden faints, sudden sweats, sudden shooting pains. Suddenness. Why suddenness? Because the soric element is there. Tubercular miasm is the combination of sora plus syphilis. That sora, which is there, which is producing the acute elements, acute inflammatory changes. And that's why the acuteness of presentation is quite common with the phosphorus. It is not always deep chronic. Many times it is acute with deep, with involvement of very important organs, as well as there are chronic tendencies like tuberculosis, cancers over there. Both are there. But suddenness of symptoms is one of the symptoms of phosphorus. So sudden symptoms, sudden prostration, sudden faint, sudden sweating, sudden shooting pains, these are the characteristics of this phosphorus element. Polycythemia. What is polycythemia? Just now I have mentioned polycythemia vera. It is nothing but the increased quantity of RBC, hemoglobin over there. So disorganization of blood is one of the important feature. One disease which is comes under its sphere is the polycythemia vera. Blood extravasation. What is extravasation? Whenever the inflammatory process happens, it it goes out. It through the blood vessels, it goes out. It is thrown away. So it is a fluid movement from the blood vessels into the cellular spaces. This extravasation is very characteristic of phosphorus. So it is one of the important remedy for the inflammatory processes. So all varieties of inflammation where there is an oozing, then this remedy plays very vital role. So wherever there is a collection of fluid, think of phosphorus. In the joints, the edema is there. Then you must think of this. If there is a knee which is showing the effusion over there, then this remedy, because effusion is the result of serous secretions also, as well as extravagation also. So wherever inflammation happens to be there with lot of collection, this remedy plays very vital role. Blood extravasations, the fatty degenerations, already we have discussed fatty degenerations of the heart, of the liver, of the blood vessels. Cirrhosis, that's also we have discussed. Cirrhosis, it is wonderful remedy to be think of in liver cirrhosis. The caries, caries is nothing but the destruction, caries of bones, caries of teeth, caries of nasal bones, caries of left lower jaw. Very typical action, caries of tibia. Wonderful remedy in osteomyelitic, osteosclerotic processes. So caries is one more pathology one should not forget. So blood extravagations, fatty degeneration, cirrhosis, caries are pathological states often calling for phosphorus. See, next sentence, which is very important, that's what just I have explained. Muscular pseudohypertrophy. Muscles, they are hypertrophied, but that is not real hypertrophy. It is pseudo hypertrophy, and pseudo hypertrophy is the indication of all muscular dystrophies, basically Duchenne muscular dystrophy. That's why Nair has added in his repertory the Duchenne muscular dystrophy, pseudo hypertrophy. The same word he has utilized, and he has mentioned only single remedy for 3 marks, the phosphorus. And I have tried it in many Duchenne muscular. I have 125 cases of Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and many times this remedy played very vital role. This is not only the remedy which I have used many times the miasm, cancer miasm is common to the Duchenne muscular dystrophy cases. Out of those 125 cases, nearly about 90 cases have a cancer miasm in background. This remedy has tubercular miasm as well as the cancer miasm. So this is one of the important remedy in such types of muscular dystrophies. So muscular pseudohypertrophy, neuritis, inflammation of the nerves. And that's why neuralgic pain is the characteristic of the phosphorus. Many times, many neuralgias comes under the sphere of phos. If you consider MAC-phos, again a neuralgic remedy, the phos elements attached with the MAC produces a typical neuralgias. Inflammation of the respiratory tract, right from the nose to the trachea, bronchi, everywhere the inflammation, even in lung spaces, it is one of the important remedy in pneumonitis. Specifically, left upper lobe is very common site of affection in phosphorus. Generally, it is pneumonitis, which is either of a common variety or it might be a tubercular also. So this is one important feature one should not forget. Paralytic symptoms. Paralysis, which is generally a paralysis which happens to be there slowly progressing, as well as acute paralysis also. Ill effects of iodine and excessive use of salt that already we have discussed while discussing it from the Allen's notes. Worse by lying on left side. This is keynote of this remedy. All complaints aggravated by lying on left side. Kali carbonicum also has the same feature. This phosphorus is also having the similar feature, lying on left side aggravate. So the one should not forget, lachesis is also having same feature, lying on left side aggravate. See, tertiary syphilis. Tertiary syphilis is nothing but the latent syphilis, where the degenerative process is happening inside, but patient doesn't show symptoms externally. That is what is called as a tertiary syphilis, a latent phase of syphilis. It runs through 4 phases, the primary, the secondary, tertiary, and the quaternary. Out of which this tertiary is nothing but the latent phase where degeneration is happening without showing any external symptomatology. Then this is a wonderful remedy for skin lesions and nervous debility. Nervous debility, the word already we have discussed, it is the debility of the nerves. Scurvy. What is scurvy? Scurvy is nothing but the vitamin C deficiency producing gingivitis. The gingiva gets inflamed, sometimes starts degenerating. Phosphorus is very important remedy. Pseudo-hypertrophic paralysis, that is what I have mentioned, that DMD, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, this is quite common. Ataxia and eudaenemia. Ataxia, ataxia is clumsy movements because of the neurological problems right from the brain. The disorder is there, and that's why the ataxia happens to be there. It is imbalanced gait. They cannot walk properly. Ataxia can happen while talking also. They get there is stammering speech comes out. They get obstructed over there. Ataxia happens to be there in all movements also. Adynamia. This is the word which one must learn. What is adynamia? Adynamia is loss of vital power, especially due to the illness or specifically due to debility. So this is absolutely lost power which is there with the adynamia. Osteomyelitis, inflammation and infection of the bones and causing necrosis. The damage over there is nothing but the osteomyelitis. And last word which he has used, bone fragility. The bones become fragile. This is because it is a pathological fracture. The bones, they are weakened and fracture happens to be there. So this is one of the important element of the bones, the constituent of the bones. And if it is deficient, it used to produce a deficient, it used to produce weakness in the bones, and bones become fragile. See how nicely this remedy's pathogenesis and pathology has been explained by Boericke. If we understand this pathology, then we can think when patient comes in front of us, immediately we can think this might be phosphorus. Posterior spinal sclerosis, this is one of the important remedy along with plumbum metallicum. So these are the things one should not forget, one should not miss. And that's why always try to correlate what pathology is mentioned by Boericke and correlate it with the modern pathology. If you are able to do that, then you are able to reach to the right remedy and you will understand the depth of that remedy. Question arises in people's mind how, whether to repeat or whether not to repeat, and what potency we should repeat. You should be cautious whenever you are using it in tuberculosis. In active tuberculosis, you should not go for it. In active tuberculosis, one should avoid giving phosphorus because many times it stimulates the process and many times hemoptysis can happen. And that's why only in tubercular cases, one should not give the phosphorus. Second important thing, if you are damn sure it is phosphorus, give it in high potency, don't go in low potency, and don't repeat remedy too much. If you go on repeating, it can create a problem. If you don't repeat it, it will not cause a damage. Third important thing, many times if deep pathology is there, deep-seated pathology, and if you feel that susceptibility is low, if you want to repeat, better potency is LM. Then it is better to go for LM and repeat it. It will not cause any damage to the person. It will definitely going to work for your case. But my suggestion, if pathology is deep enough and it requires inner, it requires the penetration inside, then higher potency is always very important, but in infrequent doses, not in repeated doses. Boericke has mentioned, just open the Boericke, the last paragraph of dose. What he has mentioned, that if one understands, that will be better. He has mentioned that dose, the third to 30th potency, should not be given too low or in two continuous doses. Underline this. It should not be given too low and in two continuous doses. This is very important, especially in tubercular cases. Tuberculosis cases, you should not repeat and you should be very cautious while using in tuberculosis. It may act as anesthesia there. Anesthesia means it is just showing palliative effect and suddenly causing a damage or destruction or death of the person. And that's why in tubercular cases, you should be cautious. Otherwise, it is a wonderful remedy to be utilized in all other aspects, specifically in sclerosis, wherever there is sclerosis, whether it is osteo, whether it is neurological, whether it is brain sclerosis, whether it is fatty degeneration. This remedy makes the wonders in practice. So today I have tried my level best to explain the pathological processes and how one can think about the phosphorus in our day-to-day practice. So in last 3 lectures, we have learned the phosphorus from the Alinsky notes. Those who have not attended, go through. It has been already uploaded on YouTube. You can get that. But this is a different aspect which was there in my mind to share with all of you. And that's why I have tried my level best to explain the way I used to think about the remedy. So that's all for today. Thank you being there. And my suggestion, you should be there every time so that you learn such types of practical aspects of the remedy. Thanks a lot and good night. Any queries there? Yes, we'll have a chat. Otherwise, we'll conclude. So good night, everybody. We'll meet tomorrow again at the same time with another remedy.
Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Sir,